In July 2021, I discovered a team that was previously in the second division of Bermudan football called Flanagan's Onions. Being a Flanagan myself, I decided that I needed to share this awesome knowledge with my favourite FM streamer.
Hey, see, I don't have enough points for a lookup, but I thought everyone should know there's a team called Flanagan's Onions based in Bermuda. I don't know if you know this. I stand for Flanagan's Onions so hard. This stream is actually brought to you by Flanagan's Onions. You think I'm kidding? This is actually Flanagan's right here. We're going to cook with this later today. You know, this is an authentic, this is a real Flanagan's. You can't get this anywhere else, right? I mean, this is a real Flanagan's. I mean, you just take a bite out of it like, I'm not going to, what is wrong with you? You wouldn't do that to a Flanagan's onion. That's not how you properly enjoy a Flanagan's onion. God, I mean...
I thought, wow, this is cool, and I had the idea to produce a fake documentary on this team which I released on November 16th, 2021. But before that, I was casually watching a Zealand video on October 30th where this happened.
In Football Manager is just making the game harder to play. It's making it more detailed, and so people like me are going to find it harder and harder to do the impossible. But we will. We will guide Flanagan's Onions to the Champions League, and there's nothing you can do to stop us, Sports Interactive.
So here we are then. I created a Flanagan's Onions team in the 6th tier of English football and transferred across the youngsters from my save in Bermuda as a nice story progression / continuity thing. But this is where I have to stress that this save is very much a storytelling save and is not meant to be judged by the same rules as a normal Football Manager save, because as it turns out, the regens from the first save are actually pretty good. So because of how easy the first few seasons were, I'm going to go ahead and skip to season 5, which is where the team was first promoted into the championship. The season started well, with good wins against some of the tough teams in the league like Swansea, QPR, West Brom and Bristol City, which showed the rest of the league how capable we were and that we were not just a relegation fodder team, but that actually we were here to stay. Our new signings definitely helped with this as we bolstered our defence with Mexican centre-back Hernan Torres, Ethan Galbraith, Callum Connolly and Toby Sibic on frees, as well as signing youngster Declan Dunlop for a record £1.4 million from Accrington Stanley. Callum Wilson was also persuaded to come out of retirement for one final season in football. This triumphant winning streak was cut short by a brutal loss away to Reading that pulled us back down to reality. But even so, we persevered throughout the season, maintaining solid results but throwing away leads against Crystal Palace and losing to Sheffield Wednesday in the last minute of the game. But when it came to the last game of the season against Stoke City, who were already guaranteed automatic promotion in second place, we needed a win and other results to go our way to push us into the playoff spots in the league. We were trading blows with Stoke as Wilson's opener was cancelled out by Nat Phillips and January signing Oscar Estupiñán's strike was also cancelled out by Liam Delap after 62 minutes. Thankfully though, January signing Adil Alshish fired back almost immediately and Youth Academy graduate Andy Manning slotted away late on to give us a 2-goal lead, which could only be halved by Stoke in the time remaining, which gave us the win. Now we waited under bated breath to see how our positionary rivals had got on. Crystal Palace had conceded an equaliser in the 91st minute to drop the 2 points they sorely needed. But elsewhere, West Brom and Peterborough had both lost, giving us a solid 4th place position and a chance to push for promotion to the Premier League through the playoffs. Our first playoff game was against Crystal Palace, who ended up finishing in 5th despite their draw on the last day of the season. And after the first leg we were 3-1 down, so we needed a miracle to flip the tie on its head. An early red card to Palace centre-back Jake Cooper allowed us to feel our way into the game and find an opener through a nice finish from Gabby Viega, which was the club record signing's first goal since signing in January for £4.8 million. But Mateta hit back with a swift reply, making us need another 3 goals to go through. A late surge from the Onions saw Duncan Dunlop head home in the 89th minute before an unmarked Leandro Campana header flew past the helpless Palace goalkeeper in the 92nd minute to send us to extra time. Deep into extra time with penalties looming, Brandon Williams sent a long ball right into the heart of the Palace box, where Callum Wilson reacted fastest to a defensive error and chipped the ball over the goalkeeper, sending the Onions into the playoffs final. Now, I don't have the audio from when this first happened, but this is the first time that I'd ever got a noise complaint in my uni accommodation, so that gives you some idea of the absolute limbs that ensued after I'd had my own Dini moment. After I'd finally calmed down, I turned my attention to the final, which was against Nottingham Forest. And after the drama of the semi-final, I was prepared for absolutely anything. But we won 2-1 after both sides missed penalties, meaning that the Onions were heading to the Premier League. Callum Wilson retired a hero, and we got a whole heap of cash to bolster our team and prepare for the rough season ahead. And bolster we did, as the summer saw an entire revamp to our team as 14 new players came into the squad, adding a mixture of experienced veterans and high potential youngsters to try and give the team a fighting chance in the league. But nothing really of note happened in this season, as the results were entirely varied, but we did manage wins against Arsenal, Spurs and Newcastle, as well as a draw against Man City, which led us to finish 15th and a comfortable 10 points above the relegation zone. We were ready to go again. The next season saw a measly 8 signings by comparison, but several major outgoings allowed us to invest heavily in more major signings than previously, including the re-signing of centre-back Jackson Galawagno from Wolves, who was our captain whilst he was on loan in League One. The new signings immediately showed their worth, as we started the season unbeaten in our first 7 games, which included a 3-2 win at home to Manchester City. However, the mood dramatically shifted after this, as the following 9 games were all losses, bar one, which was a 1-0 win against Leeds United. And this form was only expected to continue, as the next 3 games were Man United, Liverpool and Chelsea. But thanks to good performances from Sreten Pavicic, Michael Flood and Jason Walker, we managed a win against Man United, a draw against Chelsea, and then a loss against Liverpool. Have I mentioned that Liverpool will have Haaland yet? I think it's fair to say that Klopp had kind of put a bit of a super team together. I mean, he'd won the UCL 4 times in a row in the last 5 years, and had won 3 out of the 5 last league titles. So I think it's fair to say that scoring 1 against that team was an achievement for the current state of our club. In the January transfer window, we shocked the footballing world, as the club forked out a mighty 30 million on a 17-year-old striker called Mario Vicente from Sporting Gijón. Doubts about his worth were quickly proven wrong, as he scored 2 against Spurs and 1 against Man United and Chelsea, all of which were wins for the Onions. These games were immediately followed by the return fixture against Liverpool, a game which could definitely send us into Europe or have us wallow in the mid-table. The team were clearly up for revenge, as we fired in 4 against them with no reply, including 2 from Vicente. We had proved to the world that we could beat any team now. We had made a statement to the league that we were not intimidated by this so-called super team, and that we would rise above them. After a win against Sheffield United on the final day of the season, we finished 5th in the league and got into the Europa League. This year we'd also managed to reach the semi-finals of the EFL Cup, but we lost to Liverpool in both legs. I haven't mentioned this competition so far because in every single season up to this point and in the future, we never made it past the quarterfinals. And us losing in the 3rd round of the tournament became a bit of a meme because it happens so often. Several major transfers later, we started our 3rd season in the Premier League at home to Liverpool. We'd lost our star midfielder Duncan Dunlop, but replaced him with Lionel Gramajo and added Mike van Kampenhout to completely revamp our midfield. This earned us a 2-2 draw against Liverpool before we beat both Spurs and Man City in the next 2 matches. But after 2 back-to-back losses against Brighton and West Ham, a last-minute winner against Chelsea fired the team back into good form. This was until the most eventful game of the season came, which was against Leicester, as youngster Franco Paz fired home a last-minute equaliser to rescue a point for us at the King Power Stadium in a 5-5 draw. In the Europa League, we won all 6 games in our group, and we only conceded 3 goals, all of which came in a 5-3 win away to Villarreal. After back-to-back 2-0 losses to Liverpool and Man City, we brought in some depth in January to try and maintain our seasonal form. And this seemed to work as the team rose up the table with a 6-1 win against Chelsea being the best performance we had in the league. And Vicente scoring 5 in this game equaled the record for the most goals in a single game, a record which sadly he wasn't able to beat. Our last game of the season would decide whether the Onions got up into the Champions League or had to settle for Europa again. Our opponents were the mighty Leicester City, and after our previous clash this season, there were definitely a few nerves going into it. An early Jackson Galawano header seemed to settle these nerves a bit, but Leicester fired back twice to go 2-1 up. Thankfully, Vicente would then score a hat-trick while Leicester could only muster one more, meaning that we won 4-3 and secured 4th place in the Premier League, guaranteeing us Champions League football regardless of our Europa League performance. Speaking of the Europa League, we swept past Braga in the round of 16, then past Everton in the quarter-finals, and then past Lille in the semi-finals, which left us only Arsenal in the way of our first European trophy. They were the team that we'd stolen 4th place from on the last day of the season, so they were clearly set to get revenge, but we were trophy hungry. So who would come out on top? An early Vicente goal got the tie started before Arsenal fired back with 2 of their own. It remained this way until late on in the game, where January signing and substitute Wesley Lambrecht fired a lucky shot past the goalkeeper to bring it level. And as the game was winding down, Eric Martinez found a ball in behind to Jason Walker, who found the bottom corner, winning us the trophy. The next season saw us further our squad as we splashed out on world-class centre-back Lucas Bolland and Brazilian centre-back Domingos to strengthen our defence as we pushed for winning the league and the Champions League. Our first game of the season was tough as always as we hosted Manchester City. This started the team on winning ways as a 1-0 win was enough to get the ball rolling. But after a losing streak in November caused us to stumble down the table, seemingly out of the title race, a last-minute winner against Arsenal gave us hope that there was maybe still a chance to challenge Liverpool for the title. In the Champions League, we were placed in a group with Barcelona, Ajax and Besiktas, when we won 4 of the 6 games and finished top of the group. In the new year, we smashed through Norwich to keep the triumphant title charge alive, but sadly Liverpool didn't let up on their winning ways, and we ended the season in 2nd place with a whole 14 points behind Klopp's super team. For the first time in our history though, we had a chance at domestic cup silverware as a 5-0 win against Man City sent us into the final of the FA Cup against Chelsea. In this final, we scored late with our Brazilian wonder kid Ecleason to win 2-1 and secure our 2nd major trophy in 2 years. Back in the Champions League, we won both legs against Hertha Berlin before sweeping PSG off of their feet in the quarterfinals. The semis and Real Madrid were calling, but after a 1-0 loss in the first leg at the Bernabeu, and a win was needed as the might of Madrid came knocking. An early Galawano goal helped ease the nerves a bit, but we just couldn't break down the Madrid defence and extra time was looming. In the last minutes of the game, Mehdi Demiral tripped up Michael Flood inside of the area and a penalty was given. Mario Vicente, all of 20 years old, stepped up for the biggest penalty of his life. A miss meant possible heartbreak, but a goal sent this team into the Champions League final. All of the effort exuded on this 9-year journey, all of the money spent, all of the sacrifices made, all of it was on the shoulders of a young 20-year-old who had the chance to further prove his value for this team. He took a deep breath, the referee blew his whistle, and the stadium erupted. Vicente had done it. He slotted home and sent the team into the final and sent me into chaos, getting my 2nd noise complaint in my uni halls. Now there was only one match left. One match to rule them all. 90 minutes to achieve the ultimate goal, guide Flanagan's Onions to the Champions League. There was only one team who could stop us now. The one team that had plagued our success throughout this entire save. The super team who blew our title challenge out of the water. Jurgen Klopp's Liverpool. Both teams marched out onto the pitch at the Luzhniki Stadium in Moscow. No time for mistakes now from the Onions. It didn't take long to notice which team was sharper as the Onions took the lead after only 9 minutes through Mike van Kampenhout. This gave Liverpool a slap back into reality as they pushed for an equaliser, but Jackson Galawagno's header shot past Alisson in goal to double the lead and caused Jurgen Klopp to panic. The Liverpool onslaught was met by the fierce Onions defence, who held strong and maintained a clean sheet to win the trophy. After 9 long seasons, we had finally done it. We had proven everyone wrong and led Flanagan's Onions to be the best team in the world. Jackson Galawagno stepped up to lift the trophy and start the celebrations that lasted long into the night. This team honoured every player who came before them, every goal, every point and every moment that got us to this point was an essential part of this journey. A journey which I will never forget.